I haven't.
Good.
Because I feel a ton better. I just hydrated and rested.
Yeah, that's what they suggest.
Well, it is what they suggest. That is actually what they suggest. Maybe I could have used some antibiotics, but I'm a believer that my body is a temple. I don't actually believe that. I'm joking.
I was going to say, the past 2 weeks would be an indication that it is not.
Yeah, no. The last 2 weeks have been hell, but I feel a ton better. I have a bunch of energy today, which I know bugs you, but I actually stayed away from you today because I knew you would get very easily irritated with me, and I wanted your full attention for this show. So you're welcome.
Good thing I'll be here for about another 23 more minutes.
So you're just leaving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big time meetings, big time play.
Yeah, so as we've discussed, it's been a few weeks, maybe even months at this point, but as we've discussed, JOSHY has become like this egotistical big shot within the last few months. He has, Will. And I know you want to defend your guy, but all of a sudden, I would say since probably about since the Bucks got eliminated from the playoffs.
It was the draft, really.
Yeah, really, it was about the draft. Yeah, that's it.
Once he got that damn headset on him.
Yeah, he's become like this maniacal.
I don't know if that's true.
You think you're the best?
Well, I know I'm the best at many of the things I'm asked to do here day to day.
See what I mean?
This is not one of them, though. This is for the betterment.
This being Mr. Irrelevant, or this being the meetings you're
the
going
meeting
on?
I'm going to is the betterment of everyone involved. Potentially even the betterment of you.
Why?
I am not at liberty to say at the moment, but let's just say your name was brought up as one of the beneficiaries listed possible. So as you sit over there and start to cast stones,
you know what?
Yeah, you want to take back? You want to take that back?
I'll
now?
take it back, Josh. You keep fighting the good fight, bro. You keep fighting the good fight.
Some of that garb.
I did have an opportunity to make.
Slow down. Time out. What did you just say?
Yeah, I really took a leap there. I wasn't sure if that was the right word.
Garb.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Clothes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Josh?
I had the opportunity to center myself in this whole meeting and everything that's going on, and I chose not to. So you're welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So
Well,
I
I can't really talk more about it.
All right, we'll talk later.
I meant garbage, by the way.
But
No, you didn't.
sometimes people, big time players, show up in big time moments. I told Will this. He gave me a congrats or a good job on the open I made after the Brewers hit the 12-game win streak.
Oh.
And I told Will, big time players show up in big time moments.
I think you said that to me on Friday, too. I can't remember why.
Could have been.
I can remember why. Because somebody who we will leave unnamed called in sick to work at 4:30 a.m. And I believe you were called into work then for 7 a.m.
I just have this like innate sense of like need for myself, so I just woke up. Actually, no one called me.
I did text you at 4:30, but
yeah,
I didn't tell you to come in and produce.
Also, shout out to Will for using innate.
Yeah,
correctly.
actually, well done. Yeah, good for you. That one right over my head.
Slept on that.
Don't
Sleep on me.
We're not sleeping on you. All right, let's maximize the remaining, I don't know, what do you say, 20 minutes we have with JOSHY? And let's get into the Brewers a little bit because their franchise record win streak has come to an end. 14 wins in a row for the Brewers. Unbelievable wins on Friday and Saturday. Saturday's was truly ridiculous, though. When Abner Uribe came in the ninth and they were tied, I think it was 3-3 or whatever it was at that point, you felt really good about what they were going to do, right? You get a runner on second to start the 10th inning. You get a good chunk of the lineup coming up. You felt very good about scoring at least one run, and they scored 3 because Andre Monasterio hit a 3-run home run. And so you're up 3 runs, and you have Trevor McGill coming in the bottom of the 10th. Ultimately, it worked, though he allowed 2 runs, 6-5 final on Saturday. Yesterday, this team just can't go without the dramatics recently, which has been so fun, even in a loss yesterday in the 10th inning. No lack of dramatics for the Milwaukee Brewers as they lose the series finale to the Cincinnati Reds last night, or yesterday afternoon, rather, and their win streak comes to an end. But, you know, we've called Will on this show the king of the spin zone.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm going to spin it positively.
Oh, here we go.
So John, who's a listener on Mr. Irrelevant, tweeted me yesterday, and he said, Strouf, don't you think, or aren't you happy they lost? rather than losing to the Cubs, because then you'd have to listen to Cubs fans like Jim Rutledge and, Cappy and ESPN Chicago and Sylvie talk about, well, the Cubs beat the streak. They beat the hottest team in baseball. And you know what? Yes, I am. I'm glad that the Cubs didn't have the opportunity to break the streak. So I'm glad it's over with, and now the Brewers can go to Chicago with a fresh mind, knowing they are still capable of losing. It's the first time they lost in the month of August, and they can go win all 5 now. I feel good about that.
Go ahead, Josh.
That argument is not as convincing as it sounds on the surface. I do think there is a degree of, is there really anything other than a 5-game sweep of the Brewers that would make any chirping from Cubs fans like hit home?
No.
The Brewers have dominated the division. They have a massive lead where they could get swept and still have the lead. The Brewers are playing as good or better than literally every other team.
That's correct.
So they can try and spin zone themselves into there being positives. Craig Counsell tried to spin zone himself, which I'm sure we're going to get to the full story of what he said. But he also was like, well, yeah, they haven't lost since we beat them. And it's like, yeah, but you lost that series and you were behind in the division then. So I don't know what that does for you. I think Cubs fans are at the grasping for straws stage, and we should all recognize that and point at them and laugh at them for that.
Yeah, 8-game lead for the Brewers in the NL Central. And you bring up that dork, Craig Counsell. Look, I'm never going to say I'm above making fun of Chicago sports. Never going to say that. I'm definitely not above that. But it feels like I'm punching down oftentimes, especially when it comes to the Bears, who we will talk about later, because I do want to get Will Sommers' up-close and personal report on Caleb Williams yesterday as he went to the Bears. Boots on the ground. Yeah, boots on the ground.
Let's do
Bears-Bills
that
game.
after 12:55.
We will. Yeah, we're going to do that before we wrap the show. So I'm certainly not against punching down. In fact, I'm probably known to punch down. But hearing Craig Counsell be miserable the last 2 weeks, number one, has been very fun, because the grass ain't always greener, man. And it certainly has not been the last 2 seasons for Craig Counsell since he took the job with the Chicago Cubs. But then to read the quote today from a guy that grew up in Milwaukee, graduated from Whitefish Bay, played for the Brewers, was the manager of the Brewers for many years, and still, to my understanding, lives in Whitefish Bay. He said he has never seen a George Webb, which I couldn't find the audio of that. So I don't know if it was sarcasm. I don't know if it was deflection.
It was an interview that I believe might have actually been a one-on-one.
Okay.
That I don't know if it was like recorded and released. But if you read the entirety of the article, I mean, it's headlined, "The Milwaukee Brewers are suddenly a touchy subject for Craig Counsell." I mean, I feel like that tells you everything you need to know. That he feels the heat, he feels the pressure, and even if the Cubs play well, they're continually, and have been for 2 months, been looking up at the Brewers in the standing. And all those standings have gotten worse and worse and worse because the Brewers simply won't lose.
Yep.
And he made a comment that, and this is not new for Craig Counsell, when he doesn't like the train of questions, he kind of like short circuits and says things that you're like, okay, I don't really know what that was supposed to accomplish, but you said it. So yeah. I guess good for you.
Yeah. Real quick, Christian Ashoda has texted in on the Carbless text line, 800-990-3776. Joshy D, big-time player, bringing up Strouf. Dynamic duo at 12:30. Christian Ashoda.
You got it. You're trying to cut me off at the knees, and I'm trying to build you up. Unbelievable.
I should take more sick days.
I will say, though, I have been building up Josh for a while, and I really have not gotten a lot of benefits from it. Other than he did buy me a Diet Coke the other day, but that was because I bought him a bunch before that.
helped you experience your first oyster on Friday?
Yeah, I saw this.
Actually, yes.
So I believe I'm allergic to oysters. I don't know. I've never had one, but I'm allergic to clams.
Sound like Ben Brust.
I'm allergic to mussels. No, I'm actually allergic to these. I don't believe I'm allergic like Ben Brust. Ben Brust's mother is allergic to these things, so he just never ate any of them until he was in his 30s.
Allergies, as far as I know, are not genetic.
I actually am allergic to clams and mussels. I know that for a fact. It's awful. I throw up nonstop every time I eat them. So I've never tried clams before. It was clams. No, not clams. Excuse me.
Oysters.
You guys had oysters. I've never had oysters. What'd you think?
For somebody that just had their first peanut butter and jelly sandwich like 2 years ago, it was very
Wait, what does that mean? Do you have does somebody in your family have a peanut allergy?
No, I just never put the jelly on the sandwich.
So it was always peanut butter.
I would just eat peanut butter sandwiches. So I had my first PB&J like 2 years ago when I was 20.
And?
Phenomenal. Bought a bunch of Uncrustables.
Phenomenal.
Those things rock. But
they do rock.
Those make a lot of sense,
That's
right?
a good take.
How much people enjoy them?
Right. Josh was bringing out a lot of different kinds of foods, though. I was expanding my palate a lot. We have like some crab rangoon chips that were very good, too. And some flatbreads that were more my speed because they were just pizza, basically, that were very good. But yeah, I mean, the oysters weren't bad. I would definitely have them again.
You know, for somebody that eats ground beef and eggs for lunch just about every day.
And cheese and hot sauce.
Those are in the ground beef and eggs. That's how he spices up the most bland meal you've ever heard of.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's not bland?
The Milwaukee Brewers.
George Webb.
True.
We got distracted. We were starting to talk about it. Next thing we know, we're talking about oysters.
I don't know, man. I'm just fascinated by both of you guys. I haven't seen you in a while, so just figured we could catch up a little bit there. But yeah, so him saying he's never seen a George Webb is not only a blatant lie, it's just dumb. Because when you're doing an interview as the manager of the Chicago Cubs, obviously, and the former manager of the Milwaukee Brewers and a longtime player of the Milwaukee Brewers, obviously you saying something about your hometown and the place you grew up and the place you lived, and as far as I'm aware, he still lives in Whitefish Bay, it's going to get brought up. So I don't get the point of saying that.
No, I not only think him saying he's never seen a George Webb is a lie. I believe that at some point in his youth he ate at a George Webb.
Yeah, in 2018, when the last time this burger streak happened, it went into the postseason in 2018. He talked about George Webb.
Yeah.
There's quotes all over the internet of him talking about George Webb.
Yeah, he sounded awfully familiar, as one is when you grow up in the greater Milwaukee area.
Bingo. So just don't really get it. So Brewers and Cubs, 2 games today, and then one each of the next 3 days, which equals a 5-game series here Monday through Thursday.
The fascinating part about his comment and the I've never even seen one was that was his attempt to kind of downplay and get out of like making a headline. But he made a headline that everybody, I mean, Jonathan Zaslow on national ESPN radio was talking about Craig Counsell lying about never having seen a George Webb.
Yeah, it's a big story.
He made something that if you just simply answer it as it's good for them. I'm concerned about the Chicago Cubs. And I'm concerned about the Milwaukee Brewers insofar as they are the competition we have to win the division, which is our goal, like, etc. There's so many better ways to answer that than what he did and make what is now national headlines. He is very clear, and I hate this phrase, the whole so-and-so is in your head thing. Because that would imply like everything you care about or everything you dislike is in your head, which is it doesn't make sense to me. I also think the Brewers and the Cubs, vice versa, should be in each other's heads.
Absolutely,
it's an important aspect. You need to beat that team to reach your goal. So like, yeah, of course they're in his head, but it made it seem like he's feeling the pressure a lot more than I think people would have originally thought. And it's weighing on him, and I think some of it has to do with his obvious previous employment and relationship, that it's something he really doesn't want brought up. He doesn't want to be talking about it. He doesn't want any of this to be happening.
Yeah, the Brewers have an 8-game lead. And let's keep in mind, just 5 or 6, about 5.5 weeks ago, it was a 4-game lead for the Cubs.
Yes.
In early July. It is now August 18th. The Brewers have an 8-game lead heading into this 5-game series. It's the last time these two teams will see each other in the regular season this year. If the Cubs don't sweep the Brewers, I think we could probably call it.
It's probably a fork in them.
Because obviously with a sweep, then it's only a 3-game lead, and there's still a lot of baseball left to play. But if, let's say the Brewers win 3 of 5, it is now a 9-game lead.
Yeah.
And I agreed. I think you could put a fork in it. Now, the Cubs are likely still a playoff team. They have a very good record. They're 70-53. They're 17 games over 500. The Brewers just happen to be 33 games over 500.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Brewers, having a 9-game lead this late into the season is a total, it's unheard of. No one else has that big of a lead in the MLB as far as I'm aware between first and second
Not
place.
Between first and second. Detroit and Cleveland is 8.5.
Okay.
And this is 8, so that's the biggest.
And then you're getting to where we start doing the odds of if you have a lead of X, Y, and Z, you have a 99% chance of winning the division.
Yeah, it is listed as a 99.9% chance for the Brewers.
Yeah. And
which is the
largest.
For
them to make the playoffs?
That's for them to make the playoffs, yeah. It's actually, it says greater than a 99.9%.
Right, so it's a foregone conclusion at this point that the Brewers are in the playoffs somehow.
Yes.
And it's becoming a foregone conclusion, especially if you win this series, that they win the NL.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been allergic to losing. Like I said yesterday, August 17th, we're more than halfway through the month. That was their first loss of the month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unheard of stuff. They are winning, as we've talked about time and time again the last several weeks. They are winning at an unheard of pace. Now, can they keep that up through the remainder of the regular season? I don't know. But to be this good at this point is such a good sign of what is to come the postseason at the end of September and obviously in October. I mean, we've talked about sustainability just about every show we've had the last 2 weeks, and I think we're all in agreement. This is sustainable because the pitching is so good. It's a different hero every night, which is something we've talked about time and time. Like last Sunday, I remember we were talking about how Isaac Collins was the hero on the walk-off homer last Sunday, rather.
Well, and then 2 days previous, Blake Perkins was the hero.
Right, with the throw from center field. And then you go to this past weekend, and Andrew Monasterio is hitting a go-ahead home run in a pinch hit situation in the 10th inning. So you never know who's going to step up. Because Andrew Monasterio, not that he's a bad baseball player by any means, he's in the MLB for a reason. But he has been a guy, Joshy, that we have used as the example of is that the guy you want stepping up in those situations? The answer is still no.
Right. It was, yes, 2 days ago.
He came through for you on Saturday.
And he was playing, Gabe was going over this. He was playing because there was somebody on the bereavement list and somebody on the paternity list.
Perkins and Collins are both on, respectively.
So had not those two players been unavailable, he almost certainly doesn't see that at bat. He's almost certainly not in the MLB. He's probably in AAA had those things not happened.
Yes, correct. Maybe. I mean, Siegler's the other guy who we've used as the example.
Yeah.
But he's had a nice little run the last week, too. So
it seems like everybody. Has anybody underperformed?
Miz wasn't very good in his comeback. It would be pitching, but from a position player standpoint,
right,
no.
And that's pitching. You're going to give up some runs.
Right.
I mean, we saw Paul Skeens.
Yes, give up a leadoff home run to Sal Frelick, which just doesn't happen.
Right.
So you're absolutely right on that. Chad Patrick makes his return today in game number 2 for the Brewers. This is the first time he'll pitch for Milwaukee since Brandon Woodruff returned. You get a 27th man on your active roster for doubleheader days. So Chad Patrick called up and he will pitch today for the Brewers. I'm really excited to see him pitch. The guy was the Rookie of the Year frontrunner before Brandon Woodruff came back, and they just didn't have a spot for him, right? We've talked about the Aaron Savali thing plenty. They didn't have a spot for him. They trade him, and obviously they get the best player ever in Andrew Vaughn in return. Now Chad Patrick will make his return for the Brewers today. Just a one-off, but excited to see him pitch. I mean, he's been really good for them when he was in the majors, and then he's been really good for them in AAA Nashville. So excited to see Chad Patrick back at it today in Game 2 tonight. But Game 1, just about a half an hour away from the first pitch between Cubs and Brewers. All right, let's just go around. Quick guesses. How many games did the Brewers beat the Cubs in of the 5 this week?
I'm at 3. I think the Brewers are a good team. I just think.
But you think they win the series?
Yeah, I think the Cubs are a good competition. As much as the Brewers have lengthened.
They're a really good team.
Yes.
I don't think we can, despite how amazing the Brewers have been, don't get it twisted. The Cubs are still a really good baseball
I believe
team.
they have the second best run differential in all of baseball, if my memory serves me correct. That doesn't happen to teams that aren't good. I just think they've got home field. They've got, like, here I am trying to defend only them winning 3 out of 5 games, like it's some sort of indictment.
Win the series, but man,
right. But that's the expectations that the Brewers have created them for themselves because they've been so good as of late. But I do think they win the series. I think they get the tiebreaker and they leave feeling pretty good.
I would agree with you. Will, what do you think?
I'm going to say they take 2 out of 5 just because of injuries and coming straight off the road, right into another game, 5 and 4 days. And, I mean, it kind of depends with Miz for me. Like, I think they might lose the Chad Patrick game. Like, I would chalk that one up if I had to. And if Miz gets back to what he was before and doesn't pitch like he did the first time out against the Cubs at AmFam a couple weeks ago, I think they'll take 3 or 4.
Yeah, the interesting part for Chicago is they have not announced a starter for Game 2 yet today. I listened to Craig Counsell's press conference from yesterday because I was looking for when he talked about George Webb. And he refused to say what their plan was. So I imagine that's a bullpen game of some sort.
Yeah.
Or they're just rightfully trying to inch every piece of advantage they can and like strategery.
Strategery. Indeed. I think you're looking for the word strategy.
Yeah, strategic. But like they're trying to get an edge.
Yes.
To me, largely, that's what they're trying to do. And
will that work though?
Probably not. No.
Yeah, right.
No.
It's likely just going to be a 3 inning opener reliever, long reliever
opener.
pitching.
Yeah. Counsell loves that.
But like not being able to give those guys the time to scout, to find, they are going to do everything in their ability to try and turn the tides and get the Cubs back into.
I think they're going to win 4 or 5. I just think what we've seen is not a fluke, and I trust this pitching. I think Miz bounces back on Wednesday. Quinn Priester's been so good; they have him in the finale on Thursday. Peralta today in Game 1 and Woodruff tomorrow. So I don't know. I have so much faith in this pitching staff. I think they win 4 or 5. I think they'll lose one today. I don't know which one. I think they'll lose one today and they'll win the rest of them.
I mean, you have to. It's hard to imagine with the way the Cubs have been losing games and the way some of their stuff. Like,
dude,
they were booing Kyle Tucker for getting out in the first inning.
Oh my, yeah, they've lost it.
PCA overslid second base on a steal for the tying run in the 9th inning.
And then it was Dansby Swanson who missed the first base bag last week. Yes. I mean, it's just they invent ways to lose while the Brewers are inventing ways to win.
Correct.
The Brewers just find a million different ways to win. All right, Josh, you get out of here. Thanks.
Peace out, bros.
I hated that. Turn your mic off. Peace out, bros.
Peace out, bros.
Okay. See you, Joshy. Big time, Joshy. All right, Brewers, Cubs, 5 games begin today. First game, like I said, in about a half an hour, 1:20 for game number 1. The next 3, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, all 7:05. First pitch, and Thursday, the series finale, also at 1:20 Central Time, as that series comes to a close. All right, me and Will got you the rest of the way here on Mr. Irrelevant. Good to be with you on this Monday. I feel refreshed. I feel energetic. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to talk a little Packers. I watched most of the preseason game on Saturday. Didn't watch a ton of preseason game 1. I watched just about all of preseason game 2, just to see, like, was it cleaner? Is there less mistakes? Is there less self-inflicted wounds? And there was not in the first half. Penalties galore in the first half, to the point where Matt LaFleur is lighting up Anthony Belton while walking off the field at halftime. The second-round pick out of North Carolina State, who had 5 penalties in the first half for Green Bay. But second half, much cleaner. I thought all the quarterbacks played pretty well overall. I thought Sean Clifford looked really good, and it will likely win that practice squad spot, assuming they don't keep 3 quarterbacks, which they didn't last year, assume they wouldn't this year. But all in all, a nice win despite a wacky ending on what seemed to be a reception that wasn't a reception at the very end of the game, and ultimately the Packers able to just kneel it out. But yeah, Mo Alley-Cox, huge individual, and didn't realize he would be playing at the end of the game. That's a guy who has been in the league forever. I think this is his 8th season in the NFL, and he's playing at the end of the game for Indianapolis. So I didn't realize he was like a borderline roster guy, despite, I know, obviously, Tyler Warren drafted by the Colts. yada, yada. But anyway, surprised to see him. Huge individual, makes that catch on the sideline, and then it's ruled that he was out of bounds and did not have full control. So the Packers able to kneel at the clock in a 23-19 victory over the Indianapolis Colts on Saturday afternoon. So a couple things. Number one, Packers didn't play the starters. No starters played, which I'm okay with in Game 2. I would like to see some starters in Game 3, but minimally. I like that philosophy, right? Get a couple drives in Game 1, don't play Game 2, get a couple drives in Game 3. Now, the joint practices are a good part of this, right? The Packers had a joint practice with Indianapolis on Thursday. They will have a joint practice with Seattle this upcoming Thursday in Green Bay ahead of the preseason finale. And those are really good reps for your starters. I would not anticipate seeing Jordan Love Thursday or Saturday, despite the fact the plan is for him to practice at some point this week, as Matt LaFleur said, in some 7-on-7s rather than 11-on-11s. Just to get him kind of back in the zone. But all in all, yeah, it was a good preseason game. A couple of young players looked good. I thought Bo Melton once again proved he looked the part, getting in there on a pass breakup, a couple of tackles all over the field. I'm really impressed by Bo Melton. Go ahead, Will.
I'm in on Bo Melton.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be like a very solid depth corner, and they're going to need him too.
They might. And the thing with him is, you use the word depth. They don't have a ton of it at that position. They have their three guys who all didn't play on Saturday, and Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and Nate Hobbs. And then it's kind of like, I don't really know what happens underneath them. It very well might be Bo Melton. And that's okay. I mean, Bo Melton is a terrific athlete. That's something they love about him. The reason they are so staunch on keeping him on the roster is the fact that he is their best gunner on special teams. So, I mean, a guy that made his career doing that is Jarrett Bush, who was with the Packers through the 2014 season. He was amazing at that. He was like one of the best special teams players in the National Football League. Jeff Janis was also really good at that for the Packers. And I don't know that they've had a great gunner since then. They view Bo Melton as that guy. So from a special teams capacity, that's pretty much reason enough to keep him on the roster, whether he's a cornerback or wide receiver or whatever he is. But they know he's a ball player. And hearing all the interviews he's been doing this preseason, he keeps continuing to advocate for himself as a football player, right? Not necessarily a receiver, not necessarily a corner. He's a football player. He just wants to be on the field. And that's a great attitude to have when you're making a position switch multiple years into your career. Because usually that's a death notice, right? That is, grab a Sharpie, your career's over. We're going to try something with you in the preseason, then you're going to be a free agent, and then it's probably over for you. That's typically how this goes in 2025. If you are switching positions multiple years into your career. And that's, admittedly, that's initially what I thought it was when this was announced at the beginning of training camp, or I think it was actually OTAs back in June, when the idea of Bo Melton flipping to a cornerback was floated as a possibility. I viewed that as a death notice. And through 2 preseason games now, not only has he looked the part, he's played his way onto the roster without a doubt, and then add on, the sprinkle on top of the ice cream, is they love him on special teams. So I think it's a guarantee that Bo Melton's on this team in the initial 53 in a couple of weeks. But he actually looks the part. And again, it's a preseason game, and I don't want to overreact too much, but I'm fascinated by the position switch. I'm fascinated by his ability to adapt to that position. He played corner in high school, but he didn't in college. He was a receiver at Rutgers. His brother, Max Melton, who's with the Arizona Cardinals, was a corner at Rutgers and is a corner in the NFL. So clearly these athletic genes are paying off. But for a guy that's only had a few months to practice at that position, I don't care if it's a preseason game. It's impressive what he's been able to do. So, no, do I want him locking up Justin Jefferson or rather Amon-Ra St. Brown come week 1? Of course not. But do I feel comfortable with him as a 4th or 5th option in the defensive backfield? Plus, the special team stuff? Yes. All in on that.
I remember when this first happened and you said that it would be a very hard transition to make. Like, didn't you say that? Like the transition, the quarterback. But when you have a guy like that who's just so eager to be out there and it seems like he's a very intelligent football player and a sponge. Yes. And you kind of just think that the footwork's basically just in reverse, right? You're doing the same thing, just backwards a little more, turn your hips. I'm really not that surprised about it, especially the amount of, the most obvious example, Travis Hunter playing both ways. With a guy like Bo Melton who's like just seems so eager to play and so receptive to what the coaching staff has been feeding him. I'm not surprised at all. Like I think I actually saw this coming. If I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, you're a genius.
I predicted this.
Yeah, you definitely did. Yeah, totally. No, we'll give it to you. You just can't give him enough credit because as you referenced. I did say this. I thought it was a death notice for his career.
I'm not saying it's easy at all. By the way, like it definitely is like
but
possible.
He's made it smooth and he's done it really well. So props to Bo Melton, which I will continue to give as we get to stock up, stock down, which we do each and every Monday or day after Packers games. Some stocks go up, some stocks go down. I don't have a ton of takeaways from the preseason game, but I do have two of each that I want to get to. We'll start with the first stock up, and that is the aforementioned Bo Melton. Just looks the part, and that's really good to see. It's a guy I think everybody's kind of wrapped their arms around. When you hear something like this, it creates a natural underdog, right? It's a guy that, well, clearly he's not good enough to make the roster at wide receiver, so we'll try him here. And I still felt good about his chances to make the 53 because of how much they like him on special teams and how much Bisaccia loves that gunner role and how well he's done in it the last 2 years. But entering the fourth season of his NFL career, making a position switch is not normal in 2025. So to do it as well as he has, props to Bo Melton. The stock goes up there. Stock down. And I hate doing this, but stock down for Marshawn Lloyd, the running back. Another injury for him. Timeline to be determined. He played an all right game. And he showed some good things, but couldn't stay on the field. 6 carries, 15 yards. Long of 4 yards. Nothing crazy good, but not bad.
He had a good catch, too, didn't he? For 30 yards, 30-something yards. It might have got called back.
33.
Yeah.
So good contributions on the field. But we are at the point now with Marshawn Lloyd, and we went through this with Jair, we went through this with David Bakhtiari, and I'm not comparing him to all pros, but it's the phrase we use with those guys. The best ability is availability. And look, I'm not going to call him injury prone. I just always think that's an overreaction. I think it's been a really unfortunate start to Marshawn Lloyd's NFL career. Shoot, he had an appendectomy in there last season. His appendix burst. And that's why he missed a ton of last season. So it's just been unfortunate injury after unfortunate injury, but he can't stay on the field. And for a game that should have been Marshawn Lloyd's Christmas, I'll steal that from Jason Wilde, Lloyd's Christmas. It obviously ended in underwhelming and disappointment, and now he's dealing with another injury. So I feel really bad for him. But at this point, when you have the evidence you have of the last year plus for Marshawn Lloyd, it's that he can't stay on the field, and you can't rely on him being your RB2. So now you have to start looking at the other guys who filled that role last year, Emmanuel Wilson mainly, and then Marshawn Lloyd, and Chris Brooks. But it's tough to do that. I'll give an honorable mention stock up to the other running backs that filled that hole. Israel, I struggle with this every time.
Yeah.
Abanikanda, I believe it is. Abanikanda. 12 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown for him. And then Amar Johnson, back-to-back weeks with a touchdown of preseason. Gave him a stock up last week. Can certainly give him an honorable mention this week. So stock down for Marshawn Lloyd. Stock up, my final stock up is halftime adjustments. I think that's something that, and again, it's a preseason game, but it's something that LaFleur has caught flack for through his long tenure as the Packers head coach, is that what goes on in that halftime speech, what are the adjustments? There were so many self-inflicted wounds in the first half for the Packers. Penalties being the main one on the offensive line. I think there was 11 first-half penalties in the Packers' offensive line, including illegal formations. I mean, it was gross football. It was fundamentally bad football. And they come out, and in the second half, they're clean. So halftime adjustments get a stock up, and Matt LaFleur gets credit for a lot of that, because whatever he said at halftime turned the tide of this game. They were down 10 at the half. They win that game by 4. Scoring 20 of their 23 points in the second half. So Matt LaFleur deserves a ton of credit. The defense doesn't allow a touchdown in the second half, except the one at the end of the game that didn't end up counting. But 6 points in total, a field goal in each quarter in the second half, is all the Packers allowed. So halftime adjustments, both defensively and offensively, led to a victory. And again, these wins don't count at the end of the day, but it is still good to see, even with depth pieces, guys that are fighting for their spot on the roster, that they're able to flip the narrative a little bit. You're down 10, you win by 4, you're able to score touchdowns, you're able to play cleaner football, and obviously a lack of penalties in the second half versus the excess of penalties in the first half. Stock up for halftime adjustments. Final stock down goes to the second-round pick, Anthony Belton. While I'm still very high on him as a project and as a future piece and likely starter next year for this Green Bay Packers offensive line, that's a huge body. He's a big boy. He's going to be a good player. But 5 penalties in the first half is absolutely inexcusable. And I think why I'm going to be hard on him, and it's not even necessarily his fault. I mean, obviously the penalties are, but I'm going to be hard on him in this context, is the Packers viewed their offensive line as an issue this offseason. That's why in the offseason they went out and they addressed it by signing Aaron Banks, their new starting left guard, moving Elgton Jenkins to center, and having a battle at left tackle with 2 guys, a first-round pick and a guy that's a proven commodity at left tackle in Rasheed Walker, and, of course, Jordan Morgan competing for that spot. They're treating this offensive line like, hey, this is going to take us as far as we want it to, right? And when you saw Elgton Jenkins go down in that playoff game against Philadelphia, that's when things fell apart. That blew your opportunity to win that game. And the issue was penalties and bad blocks, and you just couldn't really get anything to open up or stay consistent or build any momentum on that offense in the playoff loss to Philadelphia. So the Packers addressed the offensive line by signing Aaron Banks and opening the competition at left tackle and moving Elgton Jenkins to center. How else did they address the offensive line? Well, the draft in Green Bay, they draft a wide receiver in the first round, and when you think, oh, they'll probably go D-line or corner in the second round, they draft Anthony Belton because they want as many pieces in that offensive line room as possible. And while Adam Stenavich, the offensive coordinator, is not super thrilled with the state of that room right now, I don't know that you should be after the first half of that Indianapolis game. But Anthony Belton gets a stock down for me, though I am still high on his career overall. Just coming out of that one game, not super encouraging signs for him. So those are my stock ups and stock down from preseason game number 2 for the Green Bay Packers in a 23-19 win over the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know. It's hard to draw huge takeaways from that game. But to get a win is good. To score 23 points is good after a really bad performance against the New York Jets last week. I will say, though, from a Colts perspective, Daniel Jones can kind of sling it.
I love Danny Dimes. I want him to be the starter so bad.
I think he's got a really good shot to win that competition in Indianapolis. One of the there's probably 3 or 4 quarterback competitions going on in the NFL. Actually, one of them's done now. Cleveland named Joe Flacco their starter for Week 1, but that was one of the competitions. New Orleans is one of the competitions. Indianapolis is one of the competitions. I don't think I'm missing one. I think that's it. There might be one more.
Yeah, we're probably forgetting just one, but.
But Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones are real competition, and they both threw 11 passes on Saturday. They both got kind of equal playing time. And Danny Jones finished 7 of 11 for 101 yards, 93.4 quarterback rating. But he's got some zip on that ball, which I guess I didn't really. I don't watch a ton of New York Giants football the last few years, obviously, because they just haven't been good. And obviously last year he bounced around. He was cut by the Giants. But to see him back in a competition is kind of fun because those top 5 picks, man, when they don't pan out, it seems like every year guys are getting opportunities and they're taking advantage of it, right? 2 years ago it was Baker Mayfield, and he's taken advantage of his opportunity in Tampa Bay. Last year it was Sam Darnold, who now got paid big time, and now he's out in Seattle as their starting quarterback. So it seems like these guys who have ridiculous talent, and it just doesn't pan out for them in the place they're drafted because whatever the reason is, right? For the previous 2 examples, and I guess you could add Danny Jones as the third, they're drafted to bad situations. They're drafted to bad organizations who have turnover in the coaching staff, and they just aren't able to maximize talent the way that, say, like a Matt LaFleur is or a Kevin O'Connell is. They maximize talent. Those guys are maximizers. It seems like if they get into a healthier situation, and not to say Indianapolis is the healthiest of situations, and again, he's playing backups in a preseason game, but could Danny Jones be the quarterback this year that in his second act is able to capitalize on it? I guess we'll see, but
I don't think so. I think
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a believer in Shane Steichen. I don't know if I'm a believer in Indianapolis, but I hope for good things for Danny Jones. I've got nothing against him.
That's where I would be going to. Sam Darnold falls with Kevin O'Connell, Baker Mayfield with the revolving door, Liam Cohen over there, and a bunch of other good offensive-minded coaches. So I don't know if Steichen's got it in him. I believe he's a very defensive-minded coach.
He is, and I don't know, just a random side tangent for me on quarterbacks. I love the NFL, man.
I love quarterback battles are the best.
Yeah, they really are. And typically, if you have a quarterback battle in preseason, that's a bad thing, right? Because the old saying is if you have two quarterbacks, you have none.
Well, have you heard mine about the Saints? If you have three quarterbacks, then you might have two.
That's so dumb.
I think it's true, though. I think the Saints actually have two good quarterbacks.
Being Rattler and... Is it Shuck?
Shuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a believer in Jake Hayner, who was throwing around a rugby ball the other day. Did you see that?
He was?
Yeah, he was warming up with a rugby ball, which is probably not a good thing, if I was to guess.
It's got to be like some biomechanical thing with your mechanics and all that, the way your body moves, your arm pattern. Yeah. I know in baseball it's common to throw heavy weighted balls.
Yep.
To get your body moving efficiently so you can properly throw it because your body will just sync up automatically.
I eventually want to do and maybe we do this as a special podcast. I want to do a big NFL extravaganza preview because I know we're all, at least people that listen to the show are typically Packers fans. I know you're a Bears fan. Hunter, who's not here today, he's a Cowboys fan. And, I just love the NFL. It's by far my favorite league. It's by far my favorite sport. It's the one I follow the most in depth by far. And I'm so excited and intrigued by other things going on because Green Bay is always so stable, right? I've been a fan my entire life of a very stable organization. And outside of 2 years ago, when the big question was, well, is Jordan Love any good? Is he the guy? Or are we going to be in quarterback hell the next couple of, I have no idea what to expect. And he answered that question in the first season, right? Clearly he's an NFL quarterback. So there's never really juicy things to watch at the Packers camp. There's only one true position battle this year, and it's really going to get kicked up a notch this week as Rasheed Walker finally set to return with Rasheed Walker and Jordan Morgan at left tackle. That's the only real battle at Packers camp this year. So while I'm still reading the reports and I'm still interested in hey, what does Matthew Golden look like? And what's the offense looking like? Or Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft being used at the same time? I'm interested in those things from a Packers perspective, but there's no juicy headlines out of Packers camp outside of, Jordan Love had thumb surgery.
Yeah, it's oh, wow, we have two very competent left tackles. Which one's going to play?
Right.
And they're pretty much very equal.
It's not hey, this team is a dumpster fire. There's 800 things going wrong. And that's the stuff this time of year I love following.
It's so
hearing Cleveland's quarterback controversies and Shador and Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson might be back, but nobody wants him to come back. That's fun for me. And, the
Jerry Jones stuff, the Cowboys dumpster fire.
But also, I'm fascinated by the Cowboys this year.
Yeah.
I think they could be a 12-win team or they could be a 4-win team. So there's so many things going on elsewhere in the NFL that I'm so fascinated by. I just don't know if right now, right here is the time to do it. And with how good the Brewers have been, we only have an hour to do the show 3 times a week. So with how good the Brewers have been and all the Packers stuff, we just don't have time to talk about other teams. But at some point, and maybe this is a Tuesday quickie on the podcast feed, that wouldn't be a quickie. It might end up being an hour and a half long. I just I want to get everybody's opinion on all 32 teams and see where everybody's at, who the division winners are. I'm so fascinated by that stuff. So anyway, this is my creativity coming out, and I'm telling you, Will, but I'm also telling the audience, if you have an interest in that, let me know, because I think that could be a fun show for us to do before the season starts. It's just okay, we're going to talk about the other 31 teams. Here's the Packers. I think they're going to go 12-5. I think they have a good shot to win the division. Boom. That's where I'm at. I think they're going to be that good. Jordan Love gets hurt, everything goes south. But if Jordan Love stays healthy, they're a 12-5 football team. I think they're in contention in the NFC North. And I think they're going to impress a lot of people right out of the gates. I think they'll probably be 1-1 to start the season. They'll win one of those Detroit or Washington games. But then I think they have the opportunity to rattle off 6 straight and be 7-1, or even if they go 0-2, I think they can right the ship right away because their schedule is not that hard. And then it gets really hard in the back half of the season, but that's when you prove what you're made of. So anyway, can you tell I'm excited about football? Can you tell I'm re-energized after my sickness?
It's funny you mentioned that because I was somewhere last night that got me very, very, very excited for football. I was at the Bears-Bills preseason game watching our guy, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, so I think we need to explain the dynamic of what happened yesterday before we get to that. So you went with our boss, who is a Buffalo Bills fan, Brian D.
Yeah, I produced Sunday Karma, and then Brian D picked me up from the station, and we drove down, picked up one of his buddies on the way to Soldier Field.
So what were you wearing?
So I wasn't sure, since we were meeting up with some of our friends at ESPN Chicago, how formal it would be. Like, would I be allowed to just wear, I'm assuming since they are the official radio home of the Bears, I could have worn like a little bit of Bears stuff, but I just wore like a ESPN radio polo. But I only have a Bears sweatshirt and jersey, and I didn't know if I could wear the jersey.
Okay,
and I definitely wasn't going to wear the sweatshirt because it's too hot.
So real quick, so you get into Brian's truck, I assume you took?
Yeah, truck.
And you see what he's wearing, which he's decked out in Buffalo Bills garb, to use a word from earlier. Did you go, oh, shoot, I made a mistake?
Yeah, I thought at first, too, he might have been wearing a Bills polo, and I didn't really look at it right, but then I realized he was wearing like a crew neck, and then he got out of the car and he was wearing Bills shoes, which was very cool, too. And then he put on a Bills hat. His friend was decked out in Bills stuff. So, yeah, I do regret not showing my team pride a little bit more, but I also have to invest in some, so that's kind of on me, too.
All right, so the Bears fan went to the Bears game yesterday. It was 38-0. The Bears beat the Bills. Huge win, but it's a preseason game. Now, before we get to Caleb Williams, walking away from a 38-0 win in the preseason, I know you don't want to overreact, but that's a pretty encouraging sign, yes?
Yeah, I don't really care as much about the score as I did the first two series with the offense and like the 1.5 series that the starting defense and offense were out there. So, I mean, the score is what it is. I mean, I guess it shows that you have good organizational depth and I guess your play calling's working. But the Bills, I don't think one starter played for the Bills the entire game besides maybe one defensive starter. I don't know if DeMar Hamlin's a starting safety, but he was in there. So,
it sounds like DeMar Hamlin's probably not going to make the roster.
Really? Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Last year he was a starter, wasn't
Didn't realize. I watched a little bit of that game. They have all of these people on their team, all these receivers. Laviska Shenault, KJ Hamler, and Elijah Moore are all in the Bills.
Yeah, Elijah Moore.
They have a complete hodgepodge of like random receivers from across the league.
Who might explode too and be very good.
Yeah, well, when Josh Allen's throwing you the football, that might help. Yeah.
Elijah Moore especially.
So, okay, let's get to it. Caleb Williams threw a 36-yard touchdown pass to Olamide Zaccheaus. Finished 6 of 10 for 107 yards and a 130 quarterback rating.
So everything I'm going to say, I think everyone, including myself and Bears fans, should take with a grain of salt because, like I said, they were not playing the number one defense. But the play design and the protection, which was the two things that the Bears needed to improve most, seemed like they were there. You know, like you had running backs actually picking up free runners on the blitzes and, the guards catching on the stunts on the defensive line. And then you had a lot of like crossing routes that confused the linebackers and the cornerbacks that left the tight ends wide open, which is the Ben Johnson offense that we thought we were getting. So I'm not getting my hopes too far up, but it's good to see that we're showing signs of what we thought this Ben Johnson, new look Bears, new offensive line might look like. You had a puzzled look on your face when I was about halfway through there. Do you care to explain?
I want to tell you to calm down.
I am calm, though.
You are. But also, like, was that the best drive of Caleb Williams' NFL career?
No. I won't lie, surprisingly, he's had some pretty clutch drives. Like, he had one against the Commanders that gave him the lead right before that. I don't know what happened actually after that. Maybe it was the Hail Mary. Maybe.
Yeah, which then led to what, like 10 straight losses?
Something like that.
Which I believe was snapped in the final game of the regular season. Yeah.
And he had a really good drive against the Packers, too, the one at Soldier Field that put them in the field goal range.
That's right. That was blocked. You're right.
And I wouldn't count the one that he had at Lambeau because the Packers kind of just, I don't know what they were doing on defense.
They punted on that game.
Yeah. But
okay. So how high are hopes for Caleb Williams? Like, okay, so the big thing that's always used against Bears fans is he's never had a 4,000-yard season. Or a Bears quarterback has never had a 4,000-yard season. Is this the year?
I don't think this is the year.
Wow.
Wait, let me finish.
I didn't expect that.
I think within the next 3 years after this year, can I just say the next 3 years? I think he'll get a 4,000-yard season.
Sure. You can do whatever you want.
I think he'll get close this year, but if we're getting really specific with it, I don't think he'll get it this year. I think it'll be in the next 2 to 3 years.
Caleb Williams threw for 3,500 last year.
Yeah.
Only 6 quarterbacks threw for 4,000 yards. Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and Lamar Jackson were the 6 quarterbacks that threw for 4,000 yards last year. So, and that was low. I mean, typically more quarterbacks throw for 4,000 yards, but there was a lot of injuries. In 2023, 10 quarterbacks threw for 4,000 yards.
I think he'll be in the upper echelon of like the 3,000 yards, like 3,800 around there. But late in the season last year, the Bears made running a big part of their offense with DeAndre Swift. I don't know if that's going to continue with Ben Johnson. I know Ben Johnson's a big motion, uses the tight ends, those 12-man personnel. So we'll really have to see how the disparity is between passing and running. But if it's the same as it was last year, where Caleb is with his development and the receivers that are still kind of young and figuring it out, I don't think he'll quite eclipse 4,000 yet, but on the horizon.
Okay. Who throws for more yards, Jordan Love or Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams, but that's just because the Packers have a more prominent running game.
Okay.
And I think they'll be winning in more games.
Despite you just using the prominent running game as an excuse for why he wouldn't, but yes.
Think about it. Well, the Packers are going to be winning more games probably, so they're not going to be throwing the ball as much.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm intrigued by the NFC North schedule this year because I said before, like 12-5 seems realistic to me. 11-6, probably the wheelhouse the Packers live in this year. I think it's similar to the Lions. I think their schedule is just naturally tougher, and I think that coordinator thing is going to mess them up, whether that's early in the season, middle of the season, whatever. I think there's too many changes for the Lions to be 15-2 good again. Could they still go 13-4? Yes. Or 12-5? Yes. But they're not 15-2 good. I have no idea what to make of Minnesota.
They are a question mark.
Their defense is so good.
Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are so good.
Right. Those are two of the best coaching minds, period, in the NFL, let alone head coach, defensive coordinator, so offensive play caller, defensive play caller combos in the league. They're probably the best one. No, they're not probably the best one. That is the best offensive and defensive play caller combo in the league. I have a hard time thinking of anybody else.
Now that the Lions ones are split up.
Yeah, Kansas City's very good. But I would still put Minnesota ahead of them. So anyway, but J.J. McCarthy is just the ultimate question mark because their offense is stacked. They have a ton of weapons. Like it seems like he is falling into a pretty fail-safe environment in Minnesota. So they could win 9 games, 10 games, 11 games again.
We also just never saw him throw the ball in college, too, which makes it infinitely harder to predict his success in the NFL.
One of these teams is going to stink. And by stink, I mean probably like 6-11. I just don't know who it's going to be. It could be Green Bay. It could be Chicago. It could be Minnesota. I have a hard time believing it would be Detroit. Somebody's going to fall flat on expectations because all of these teams are looking at this upcoming season being like, yeah, we can make the playoffs. Like you as a Bears fan, you're thinking, yes, this could be the year we make the playoffs.
I'm hoping. I don't think like I'm not certain that it's going to be the year. I know in a first-year head coach and quarterback being together, things take time to work itself out. And this is like, it's not like they just replaced a couple of coaches. It's a whole new regime. Yeah. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, who's never been an offensive coordinator before. I mean, that's the thing, though, Bears fans, the patience just is never there.
I would just say this with Declan Doyle. The pressure's not on him.
No.
Right. The pressure's on the play caller, which is Ben Johnson.
He is going to be the next Ben Johnson in like 4 or 5 years.
Okay, relax.
Well, no, that's just how it goes. Just from learning from Ben Johnson. He's
but what if he
stinks?
Hotshot. What if he stinks? What if Johnson gets fired?
You just said that he's not going to fall. Like none of the blame's going to fall on him.
Oh, correct. But sometimes you need a scapegoat.
He was basically just like a complimentary hire. Like he's just going to be like he's technically an assistant offensive coordinator since Ben Johnson is like likely the offensive coordinator as the head coach.
Yeah, he's a play caller. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so excited for football. Watching preseason football just makes me miss actual football.
I hate how we're arguing about the preseason.
I don't. It's what I'm energized by.
I hate it, but I love it at the same time.
I'm just so ready for football. I had my first fantasy draft over the weekend.
Oh,
and so like I'm there, man. Like I'm just take me to September or whatever the Thursday is, 7th I think it is.
College football this weekend,
or 7th is the Packers game, September 4th. Is it week 0?
Ireland. I don't like week 0.
Okay, I don't either.
How you feel about it?
So I've started a list of things that bother me about sports. Minor things and I'll keep you posted. I'm going to give you the first 3 though that I've written down. So I've just written it in my notes. Things that bother me about sports. Because I love sports. But I have 3 things that have recently been bothering me. Number 1 is the week 0 branding on college football. It makes no sense. It's week 1. You can't play in week 0 and then have a 1-0 record. How does that make any sense?
So you're disgruntled about the branding.
The branding of week 0. Yes, I'm fine with you playing football earlier. Just call it week 1 or call it week 1A. I don't know, like week 1 preview. You can't go into week 1 with a 1-0 record. That makes no sense. Or an 0-1 record. If you've played a game, that's a week. It can't be a number that means nothing. A 0 means nothing. So if you're leaving that week with a record, that bothers me. I've always hated week 0. That's number 1. Number 2, I don't mind the midseason all-star game, but I don't like the fact that you can be called an all-star when the season is only half over.
That's actually a really good take, and I've thought about this a lot recently. Like the guys that have incredible second halves and the guys that have very hot first halves and then cool off, but arguably when you put together the entire season.
I'm fine with the Midsummer Classic, they call it, for baseball, right? And same with the NBA. Now, the NBA is probably a little bit different because basketball is a 5-on-5 sport. It's not as volatile in terms of, hey, you're really hot now, you're going to cool down. It does happen, but basketball's so much smaller where the All-Stars at midseason are probably the same at the end of the year. Baseball, it's so volatile. Like, you could have an All-Star that's in theory in AAA. Unlikely, but it could happen in the second half of the season. I don't like when you go to somebody's Wikipedia page and it lists their accolades, I don't think it should say all-star if it's happening 80 games into the season. So mid-season all-star recognition is number 2 of things that bother me. And then number 3, I was watching the UFC fights on Saturday. And this has always bothered me, but it didn't really click until I started this list and I watched it happen on Saturday. So when a fight does not end by knockout or TKO, or it's called, right, or submission, you then go to decision. And so then you both of the fighters are in the middle of the ring with the ref, and he's about to raise the hand as Bruce Buffer announces the results. I hate when the fighters start celebrating before the winner is announced, because more times than not, the fighter that is celebrating doesn't win the fight, right? So one arm is down with the ref, and they're pumping their fists like they just won, even though they just got their ass kicked for 3 rounds. I hate that. It bothers me. Why are you celebrating? If you get through the end of the fight and you want to pump up the crowd a little bit, I'm good with that. But once we get to decision time and the ref is about to raise your hand, stop celebrating because you didn't win. You just got your ass kicked. So those are the 3 things on my list right now. I'll keep you updated on anything I add to that list.
You're doing really good until the last one. The last one, I just don't know why that bothers you. Like that's just something that shouldn't bother you that much, I feel like.
I don't know if you're a UFC guy at all. I've never asked you.
So I could just be talking into
I'm by no means the world's largest UFC guy, but my brother is a huge UFC fan. One of my best friends is a huge UFC fan. So often when I'm with them, I find myself watching the fights. And I did on Saturday. I was in a garage. I was at one of my brother's best friend's house. Once the Brewers game ended, we went back to the fights. And it's just bananas. But anyway, so there you go. All right, time now for What We Missed, What We Learned. It is presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits, made locally in beautiful Door County, Wisconsin. Summer's coming to a close, man. I know it's already mid-August, but fall's coming. And if you're getting up to Door County to see the fall colors, and it is a beautiful time of year to get up there, make sure you stop in, whether it's in the morning, in the early afternoon, whatever, at Door County Distillery and Door Peninsula Winery. They do tours, they do tastings, they have a ton of exclusive product you can't get anywhere else. It's totally worth your time. I actually saw an old friend from high school was there this past week, and I shot her a message and said, just make sure you check out both sides, both the winery and the distillery, because it is just awesome. It's a really, really neat venue. And worth your time if you're heading to Door County. It's in Carlsville, just north of Sturgeon Bay. But if not, Door County Distillery is the best, man. Elevate your gathering, your birthday parties, any gathering, your tailgates, whatever you got going on with Door County Distillery. Whiskeys, rums, brandies for your old fashions, and all the in-betweens, vodkas. Bunch of local collaborations as well. Door County cherries infused into a lot of those, cherry vodka, cherry brandy, etc. They are the best. So you can find the retailer nearest you on their website, doorcountydistillery.com. Use their search tool. What are you looking for? If you're looking for the cherry brandy, or you're looking for cherry vodka, or you're looking for the Rock Island rum, you can check a box that tells you, okay, this is the product I'm looking for. Type in your zip code, boom. It shows you the retailers closest to you. It's a really neat tool to help you narrow down your search for the best booze in the business. It's Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits. Okay, Joshy beat you with any words today, Will.
I just had Garb on there, which we kind of ran through, and I'm not going to...
Okay.
Do I have to go through it again?
No, you don't. Garb is a word you use, though.
Yeah.
And you used it incorrectly.
I meant it as like a garbage word.
Okay. Well, that's not right. So
yeah,
it's all right.
I think I meant something else, but I still don't know what I was talking about. So,
what I learned, Chuck E. Cheese still goes hard.
Really, I don't think I've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese.
So my eldest niece's 5th birthday yesterday, and so we went to Chuck E. Cheese in Green Bay, and we got cards for 90 minutes of playtime. So now it's not coins anymore. You get like a card, and you pay for 90 minutes up front, and you can play whatever machines as many times as you want to rack up tickets on this card. So I was the leader in the clubhouse of the 4. Cool. 586 tickets. I played just about every game. I broke a sweat at one point playing Papa Shot.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I was on fire. And arcades are sneaky fun. Like they just are. I don't frequent arcades. It's just not really my jam. I don't go to like the... And it's nothing against these places. They're fun. But like I've been to a Dave & Buster's once in my adulthood. And I won a chain when I went to Dave & Buster's. It said eat, drink, play. I lost that. I don't know what happened to that. But I was in college when that happened.
Maybe that was for the better.
Yeah, probably. It's the only time I've ever worn a necklace. But yeah, so Chuck E. Cheese, very fun. I actually enjoyed my time there, despite all the kids screaming and whatnot. But so Chuck E. Cheese, it still goes hard. That's what I learned over the weekend.
It's too bad it took you this many years to figure that out.
Well,
seems like it would have been more appropriate to learn this when you were growing up.
So I drove separately because I stayed at my brother's house Saturday night, and then I drove back to Milwaukee from Chuck E. Cheese. So I drove separately than my brother and his family. So I pulled up before them, and typically in any other scenario, I would get out of my car and walk in, right? Just naturally as one would. But I thought to myself, I'm by myself. I'm 26 years old. It would be an odd look if I walked into a Chuck E. Cheese alone. So I waited for 10 minutes until they got there. They've got kids, man, so they're always trailing behind. And good move by me.
Was there a part of you that was a little scared of the mascot, considering what happened to the one guy who was...
Yeah, I did say to my brother, I hope he gets arrested. I hope that doesn't ruin my niece's birthday. But he didn't. He came out right as we were leaving, and they did the birthday song, stomp, stomp, stop, clap, clap, clap. My niece was very scared of him, though. So
I still am kind of scared of that mascot. He's not the most friendly looking one of
rats aren't friendly. Like rats are not approachable.
No.
And is he a rat or a mouse? I guess he's a mouse, probably.
Mouse, yeah.
What is Chuck E. Cheese? That's a great question. I would assume he's a mouse.
I got something from this weekend actually as well. The Little League Classic took place, so I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I am.
It's like Players Weekend too, so all the players get to wear like a little bit of extra flair.
He's a rat, by the way.
A rat? Wow. It's surprising they'd choose a rat over a mouse. But anyways, Matt Strouf, the pitcher for the Phillies, he was wearing a pencil glove that was signed by all the players on the Little League World Series team from Pennsylvania, right? And I guess there was a little bit of like white leather on it so that the players could sign it.
Okay.
And it's Players Weekend, so it's kind of like a chance for the players themselves to express themselves. And the Nationals complained about the white leather on his glove and made him take it off. The glove that was signed by the entire Little League World Series team from Pennsylvania. They made him take the glove off and go back to his normal one because the white on the glove is probably, this is what I would guess, is it looks too much like the ball. So you just see flashes of white flying in front of your face when you're hitting. It's not that easy. But I don't know. It's still kind of like...
It seems like
it seems like something that could definitely hinder your performance a lot, but at the same time,
maybe not a lot, but a little.
You'd be surprised. Like you're not allowed to pitch with like a white wrist tape because it looks so different. Like
sure,
the ball.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
But I don't know, kind of like an ethical play here. Like, do you let him just wear it out, like with all the signatures
it's
on it, or are you? Yeah, I think you have to with Players Weekend because pretty much everything is up for grabs.
Interesting. All right. Good spot to end it. We're way over time, so maybe my NFL rant could have been saved for another day. But good stuff as always. Will, appreciate you stepping in for Hunter. He'll be back with us Wednesday. I'm just going to get ahead of this one. There's no show on Friday. I'm off on Friday.
What?
You and Josh can do a show if you want, but I'm off again. So there's a wedding to attend for somebody that we know that works here by the name of Ben Brust. Yeah, so
forgot about that.
I'll be at his wedding. So Friday wedding, very rude.
At least it's not on a Saturday in the fall or a Sunday in the fall.
True that. Friday wedding is actually a good move. It's a good reason to get out of work and before football season starts. So anyway, all right, we'll talk to you Wednesday, beginning at 12:30 Central. We'll have Will's Week in Review. We'll play a little one word, all that to look forward to, all the fun shenanigans. Joshy will rejoin us then as well after, assuming he's not being a big deal again.
Yeah, he might have
big time us. You never know with him. All right, we'll talk to you Wednesday. Peace.